Yeah, it's just so epic, and it's just a brilliant like start to the the real start of season 2, because like the premiere was kind of a reset. It was whereas this is all like everyone getting their lives back on track.
FlynnsArcade.
Hi, this is FlynnsArcade, and this is my video about the Venture Brothers episode Hate Floats, with reference to this book here. I'm going to talk a bit about the plot of the episode and any high spots of the episode, and finally I'm going to give it a rating out of 10. In this episode, the boys have just turned 16 and the Monarch is attempting to get his life back on track. The whole of the main cast finds themselves in a shopping centre together. All hell breaks loose, but thankfully Phantom Limb and Brock team up together to save the day. Jackson Public says that the premiere and Hate Floats were written back to back, so in a way that they are a two-parter. The clip of Gary and 24 singing along to Mars the Bringer of War by Gustav Holst is something that really stays in people's, like in the fans' minds.
Daddy's home.
Yeah, it's just so epic, and it's just a brilliant like start to the the real start of season 2, because like the premiere was kind of a reset. It was whereas this is all like everyone getting their lives back on track and starting to work working whatever it is that they're up to. Really interesting fact about this clip is Gary has 3 gloves on. It's very rare to spot a mistake in the Venture Brothers, but they do exist. It's just it's to the sort of eternal shame of Doc Hammer, because one of the things that the creators try to do is make sure all the fans will notice things, that everything in the Venture Brothers is to be noticed. And so the fact that there's a mistake in this, and it's a mistake in one of the most famous scenes in the Venture Brothers, it's just quite a funny thing to do. But it's a show about failure, so what you expect. And there's some very symbolic fashion choices in this episode. Dr. Ex-Girlfriend, she dressed in her classic Chanel suit throughout the whole of season 1, until we eventually saw her in a Queen Etheria suit. But today she's wearing an Emilio Pucci outfit, who was a favourite designer of Jackie Kennedy, who the character is based on. So whilst Dr. Girlfriend's got an opportunity to change her look, and it seems pretty symbolic of her moving on with her life as she continues living with Phantom Limb despite the various problems, Dean gets a really big fashion makeover that's even more symbolic than that.
This one is elegantly understated, and the color has a dancer flair to it. How's it fit in the seat? Pop! There are people around!
So a lot is made of Dean's speed suit, and it's highly symbolic of his new role in life, that that his dad's starting to see him as an heir to his crumbling empire, and he's trying to literally make him in his own image. And the fact Dean doesn't like the speed suit at all, it shows that he's not really comfortable with the life that his dad has planned for him. The freeze frame sequence towards the end of the episode is a homage to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
And 3, 1, 2, 3 times!
It's a very small reference, but that's a Lisa Stansfield song, and the song's about somebody who's broken up with somebody and they've been around the world looking for them. It's a very, like, possibly he's singing it because he's thinking about Dr. X's girlfriend. I like to think he is anyway. It's certainly, he does seem pretty cut up about their breakup. As the jokes of this episode, there's quite a few good ones. So here's one I particularly enjoy that comes courtesy of the Monarch.
What do you think you're doing?
Butterfly kisses. I learned it in prison.
I mean, I quite like that because, you know, like we saw earlier what was going on with him in prison with King Gorilla. And also, we also know, as he mentions in the Trial of the Monarch, that he doesn't swing that way when he accused Dr. Orpheus of trying to give him a reach around. So, yeah, how did he learn how to do that? You know, it's pretty funny. Quite a bit of humour in this episode comes out of the problems between Dr. X's girlfriends and the Monarch.
Move in!
What?
Move in with me!
What, do you want me to share the bedroom
Move
with
in
you?
with you.
No, don't be an a-hole. I was talking to... I was talking...
You were talking to who? To your henchmen. I don't believe I was falling for this.
I just quite like the fact that the tough gangsters are listening into that argument and they think it's funny, whereas Gary finds it quite sad. But yeah, it is quite funny.
You haven't changed at all. Let me tell you something about Vandal. He's an animal.
Does he know his channel's open?
We're thinking the map!
He's up on him. He's been through a lot.
There's some like pretty good physical comedy in this episode, and we'll have a look at some of that here.
Where am I glad? Has anybody seen... Oh, excuse me. Oh my God, thank you. What's going on? I'm gonna throw up.
I just love that because it's sort of you know, basic comedy trope, like somebody's like scrabbling around looking for the glasses, and so like the Venture Brothers seem to be doing that, but instead they just went into like complete ultra violence, and it's like it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. And there's another bit of a physical comedy here.
There we go.
A good call on the WD-40, said the Monarch grudgingly. Never go anywhere without it, but thanks.
I have to admit, you proved us wrong.
Yeah, I just quite like the use of WD-40 in a gag, and I've been making sort of not very good jokes about WD-40 ever since I saw this episode, so yeah, it's a good one. There's a joke here about the theft of Brock's car.
It's just one guy.
You show off.
My car.
Right, how did he know that was his car? Like, you know, that's just it's so weird. And I think this becomes a recurring gag throughout the Venture Brothers, like the deal with Brock and his car, because how would he actually know that? You know, it's just, who knows? But yeah, there's something quite uncanny about his ability to do that. So yeah, I think the deal with Brock and his car is like he's really into cars and he's got a very specific type of car, so he could understand, like he could recognise the sounds of the engine. And what's quite funny though about that is that I know that when people have got new babies, they recognise the cry of the babies almost immediately. So that's how he feels about his car. What's quite amusing though about it is Hank and Dean are in the car, so his paternal instincts are all about the car, but you know the people he's supposed to be looking after are actually in there. One of the themes of this episode is that of a new start. The Venture family's life is carrying on in the new form because it's the latest version of the boys that they've got, and also the newly escaped Monarch is trying to get his life back on track because everything really went horribly wrong for him, and his life completely fell apart at the end of season 1. Another theme is parental favouritism. This is the first episode when we see Dr. Venture treating Dean differently to his brother. Back in the pilot, he told Dean that he's supposed to be the clever one. But it hasn't massively been elaborated on further before this episode. But it looks like he's really trying to make Dean in his own image in this episode.
In a speed suit, you say to the world, look out! I know what I'm wearing for the rest of my life.
That's a short-sleeve jumpsuit. Check the workwear department in the back.
My big surprise is a jumpsuit? Speed suit.
Another theme in this episode is that of realism. Because the henchmen have moved on to new jobs and during the Monarch's incarceration, it's up to Gary and 24 to find their replacements.
You, like so many others, are drawn to the sexy, action-packed lifestyle of the professional henchman.
But I could never be a henchman. I am just a normal guy who is between the age of 18 and 30, a loner, and lacks ties to friends and family.
You, stranger, are the perfect candidate for costumed aggression.
So as we just saw in the clip, like they did this by setting up a recruitment stall in an inner city park, and they wind up recruiting like some characters who Jackson Public describes as the most cartooniest gangsters ever. Jackson Public says that this episode shows the difference between a real scary person in the real world and the guys who run around in costumes being idiots. It's our stupid dress-up people coming into contact with actual robbers and other, serious criminals, and they're afraid. And now there's a clip which illustrates the consequences of their unconventional recruitment process.
Oh yeah, like it's that easy. No, listen to this. Henchman 28, front and center.
You want me? You roll your big ass over here.
It's actually quite sad to see the new henchmen taking over the cocoon, and I genuinely feel a bit sorry for them, especially Gary. Because most of the action in this episode takes place in an ordinary shopping mall, which continues the theme of realism, it's strange to see the characters interact within a mundane environment, and it's unsurprising to see it all going horribly wrong. As for character development, 21 and 24 really get a chance to shine in this episode, and they even get their own theme song. Since they're the only henchmen left, and Dot's girlfriend has moved out, it appears that their relationship with the Monarch has become more egalitarian. We'll see if this newfound closeness continues. Things are going quite coldly between Phantom Limb and Dr. Ex-Girlfriend, but apparently it looks like she's starting to become a bit bored.
Finally, someone who understands that serration is only good for bread.
Wow, that is so great.
You know how we shall celebrate? Yes, dinner party. Oh, I will begin a marinade tonight. We shall invite Manta Claus and Animus. Wait, that's awkward.
Phantom, honestly, I am finding this so hard to care about.
Yeah, so looking at the clip, it does look pretty uninteresting what she's getting up to there with Phantom Limb after the excitement of her life in the cocoon. And so it's unsurprising that she winds up, having a polite conversation with the Monarch when she meets him later on.
Because I love you! Because when I used to lay my world-weary brow on your perfect breast and feel the phlegmy rumble of your chest as you told me, this is heaven, I believed you.
You can't do that. When you threw me out, I was devastated. I would have come home if you asked me to. Yes, I'm that stupid, but you didn't. You called me a whore and you went back to your I'll get you Dr. Venture shenanigans.
But even though she agrees to have the polite conversation with him, he manages to mess things up with his poor behaviour. If he's going to win her back, he's really going to have to up his game. And unfortunately for the Monarch, despite his best endeavours earlier in the conversation, his anger issues start to rear their ugly head again.
I mean, when you can act like an adult.
I am an adult!
Let me go.
Yeah, so as you can see there, he's really does need to mature quite a bit in order to encourage Dr. Ex-Girlfriend to go back to him, and despite her boredom hanging out with Phantom Limb, at least there's no shenanigans there. It's just a little bit dull, and she's going to stay with Phantom Limb at the moment. The boys get some character development in this episode in that they've finally got their driver's licenses.
Hey!
Here, boys, put these in your wallets. You're official now.
How come they're all burnt up?
Laminating accident. They're still good, though.
You sure? Because this date is wrong. If I was born the year this says,
Curiosity kills more than the cat, boy. Put them in your wallets like the man said and get dressed.
So, as we can see here, they've reached a developmental milestone, but it's up for debate as to how old they actually are, and it is quite confusing for them. And also, they've managed to successfully survive their first driving lesson with Dr. Ex-Girlfriend.
Hank, you drive. I never drive mad.
Brock would never let us drive his
Don't be such a candy-ass dame. Get in the back.
Interestingly, Dr. Ex-Girlfriend actually says, I never drive mad. I always thought that she'd said, I never drive men in this clip, and I thought was actually quite strange. I just figured it was some sort of ego thing, but she makes the very sensible comment that she never drives mad. And so she's pretty upset about the situation with the Monarch, and she very responsibly didn't want to drive the car. But yeah, I always wondered what that meant, and now I know. I just learned that really recently. In this next clip, we're going to see something quite unusual. Well, something that I thought was quite interesting because a lot of teenagers, when they finally get their provisional driver's license, they one of the parents or grown-ups in their lives will take them out for the first lesson, and that's often their mum. And it's like Dr. Ex-Girlfriend isn't their mum, but she is sort of related to them in a strange sort of way. So I just thought it was quite interesting. Just an interesting take on a normal like developmental milestone that a lot of teenagers go through.
Yes, we know.
Mommy, how do you know where to go?
I'm not your mommy. And I put a tracer on the Monarch when we were first dating. Hank, take this right.
I'm driving! I'm a driver!
We know.
And so Dean is convinced that she is his mom. I don't know whether he's just been stupid or whether there's some weird subconscious thing that that he's realised the Monarchs might be his dad or something. I don't know, but or it could be just that he's completely clutching at straws because he's so confused about his own backstory that he'll credit any adult woman he meets as his mom. But we're going to meet Molotov in the next episode, and I don't think he thinks of Molotov as his mom, so I do think it's something about Dr. Ex-Girlfriend that makes him think that. Whilst Dr. Ex-Girlfriend is busy giving the boys an impromptu driving lesson, we get to see Brock hanging out with Phantom Limb.
You'll love this. Follow my lead. Classic.
No, sweet mercy! I've been rent asunder by your violence! Be merciful and finish me off.
Have a heart! Put one between his eyes! My God! Do I have to do it? Give me those guns!
It's a pretty good team up to see those two working so well together, and unfortunately it doesn't last beyond this the end of this episode, but I really enjoyed seeing them hanging out, and it seems that they've got a lot more in common with each other than they might initially think they do. So I think I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I really like the sort of realism. I like the bit with Phantom Limb and Brock hanging out. I like the symbolic use of fashion for Dr. Ex-Girlfriends and for Dean. So it was a pretty good episode. And obviously everyone, I really liked the scene where the henchmen are singing at the start of the episode. So it's a pretty good one, but I'm watching this off the back of the season 2 premiere, which is like pretty much it's one of my favourite Venture Bros episodes. So even though it is a 2-parter and I get it and I get how it relates to that episode, I'm still like hung up on how great that one was. So this episode is always going to get a bit of a reduced score just coming off the back of it. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you love this episode? Because it's a pretty good one. It's just like I said, it's not as good as the one I've just watched. Let me know if you disagree. Maybe you hate the episode. Just let me know, and let me know if I've missed anything. So try to do a good comprehensive review, but I often miss things out. So let me know with that. And if you've got any theories as to what's going on. If you don't have anything to say, please can you just drop me a Go Team Venture, because that really will help with the algorithm apparently, and it'll help grow the channel. If you haven't already, please could you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. And so that's all from me. Unless anything comes up in the meantime, I'll see you next Sunday.